Hey everybody, in this video, I want to go over assignment 9, your final marketing plan. Yay! So, at this point, you've done a lot of work, and I'm starting to go through your assignment 8 submissions, which theoretically is going to be really, really, really similar to your assignment 9 submissions, right? So, yeah, what my point in pointing that out is that I'm really enjoying reading all your papers so far. And at this time of the semester, when we get to your assignment 8 and assignment 9 submissions, yeah, that's all I'm going to be doing is grading. So that brings me to this point right here. And it looks like I need to make an edit over here um, to where that says note 1. But anyway, this brings me to my note here. Please do not submit your assignment 9 until I give you feedback on your assignment 8 because I'm going to be working through your submissions. So for the fall 2023 semester or for the fall semester, that means working through your submissions during the Thanksgiving break. And then if it's the spring or summer semester, well, that's going to be a different story. But whatever semester or year we're in, the point is it's going to take me a while, right? It already takes me a while to go through itty bitty sections. But my thinking is that I've already seen the many different parts of your paper throughout the semester. So I won't have to like really analyze and do all that stuff. I could read through it and say, oh, okay, yeah, this is good, or like, oh, yeah, we need to adjust this one or that one. So the part that will just take long is just the sheer number of submissions, right? So as of right now, I have about 90 of you all in this class, and then I have other classes. And then for many of you, it's over 10 pages, 15 pages, sometimes over 20 pages. So yeah, it's going to take me a while, which is cool. I enjoy learning all about these different brands. And then for some of you who are doing one about your business, I like learning about that too. And then many of you are also doing a personal marketing plan. So it's great to hear about your plans for yourself. Now, the next part I want to talk about is the additional stuff that I want you to submit in addition to your assignment 9 document, the Word document, your entire marketing plan paper. So, oh, one more part about that. There's just this little part about where I've been giving you feedback on your submissions from assignments 4 to 8. And so I'd like for you to incorporate those into your final paper. And so if you don't do that, it just doesn't work, right? Because the content is not quite correct or whatever the case might be. And so, yeah, I'll be taking off 10% off your assignment 9 score for every single assignment feedback that you don't incorporate. So, for example, as I put on here, to clarify that some more, so your assignment for submission might have like a whole bunch of comments or a comment or two, whatever, regarding your submission. And so I'm looking for you to address that. So that's what I mean by per for every failure. I'm counting like the entirety of your assignment for submission comments and then the entirety of your assignment 5 comments that I left and so on. So it's not going to be like for every line item. It's going to be for every chunk of feedback if available. For some of you, for many of you, I just put, yeah, good to go, like, or it looks good because you met all the specs. So there's not going to be very many edits, right? And then there's this portion about the writing center. So this one, just to clarify, I've just asked for you to work with them at least once. So for many of you, you did that as part of assignment 5. And then for many of you also, you said, oh yeah, I'll work with them before assignment 9. And so now is the time to really show me something regarding that. And then here's that reminder about working in text citations and references. So that reminds me also of the way I've graded your assignments 4 to 8. So for the most part, I've just looked at how well you met or how well you provided the content that I was asking for. So many times that would be why I would have taken points off, is because if I asked for this section and you didn't do that, well, it's missing. And so that's why you missed out on points. However, if you provided me with something, if you gave it a good try, then I more than likely gave you full points for that. However, just because I gave full points, it doesn't mean that there are no adjustments to make. So that's when looking at the comments and then reviewing your work one more time to ensure that you've met the specs. That's when that becomes important. So, for example, I didn't necessarily look really closely at your use of in-text citations and whether that matches references and all that fun stuff. However, I'm doing that for assignment 8. And so I will have a pretty good idea if you've met this part of the requirement here. So ensure that you've taken a look at that. So my point is, if you got perfect points for every one of your assignment submissions, don't rely on that to say, oh, I don't need to do anything. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Because I probably, if you didn't do it yet, I probably put something on there about incorporating in-text citations and references. And so ensure that you do that. So then when you're ready for the submission, your assignment 9, you're good to go. So yeah, there's your Word document. There's information about working with the Writing Center at least once this semester. And then here's another one, acknowledging that you practice academic honesty. Now, I know I asked for this for assignment 4, and then also any discussion on how you use AI. So I just want one more time, just let me know because you've worked on the paper some more since then. And then lastly, if it applies to you, ensure that you submit your assignment 9 paper to SLNL also. And then here's some more information about how this will be graded. So I have my rubric right here, and then there's all these extra disclaimers on here. So if you don't submit anything for assignment 9, or at least earn 120 out of 200 points, so that means I'm looking for quality, right? Then if that happens, then you will get a letter grade reduction on your final grade. Ouch. And then if you don't submit anything to SLNL, if that's a requirement for you, that's another letter grade reduction. And then if you don't submit anything for 3B right here and 3C highlighted in green, that will result in a reduction of your assignment 9 grade. Not your final grade for the class, but your assignment 9 grade. So lots of stuff to pay attention to. So please ensure that before you submit anything, before you say I'm done, just use this as a checklist to ensure that you've met every single aspect. Now, this brings me to my final point. Like, what is up with all these requirements, right? And why am I so, quote, fussy about such things? Well, I created a little document for that. So hear me out. I point out 6 different things on there. Number one, when it comes to expectations, and I put formatting on there because really that was one of the big things right there. But on a more general, um, what am I trying to say here? More generally speaking, yeah, this falls under formatting expectations, but that's really just assignment requirements, also, right? So focusing on formatting expectations, and that includes, we'll just include in-text citations on there. It's part of the assignment requirements. So just like with many jobs, perhaps the one you're in now, there are specs to follow to meet quality standards and customer expectations. That's just how it works. And so that's the same concept here. And when you follow my instructions and you give me a paper that looks like what it should look like based on examples I gave you, based on my instructions. So I gave you a template to work with under assignment 4. I provided an overview video about looking at or how to incorporate in-text citations, how that works in papers under modules. I also gave you student examples so you could look at how they formatted their papers. So when you look at these papers, there's a certain look to it. So this is APA format, or mostly APA. And so there's headings, there's margins, there's text, there's type, the correct spacing, and so on. So that's something, as a professor, me grading your papers, I immediately recognize what a proper paper looks like. And so that shows your attention to detail and your professionalism. And the professionalism part, that's showing your respect for the conventions of the academic community, right? Like if you're just doing your own thing, you're like, well, it's kind of like you're telling me like you don't really care. And hopefully that's not what you're going for, right? Next item, when you create a paper that looks like a paper, then that just adds to your credibility. If this is something that you want to share, for example, with a future collaborator, your current employer, or your investors, yeah, it'll show credibility. It also makes it easier to review for anybody looking at it. Now, especially in this context of me grading it, it just makes it easier for me because I could quickly scan through your paper and say, oh, yeah, you met that, you did that, you did that. And it just makes it easier for me to grade and give you full points for your efforts using this rubric. And then when you're using in-text citations and references, that avoids plagiarism, which could have pretty serious consequences, right? And then lastly, it's globally recognized. You could, if you follow APA standards, then if you give this paper to somebody else elsewhere, then they will be able to recognize that also. All right, so that's what I have to say about assignment 9. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.